All right, so today's lesson, we're going to be talking about the difference between an inequality and an equation and how you can write your answers. So the difference between an inequality and an equation is that in inequality, you can have multiple correct answers. So in an equation, like 3 plus x equals 7, the only value for x that makes this true is 4. But in inequality, if we have 3 plus x is greater than 7, then the number 5, 6, 7, 8, and so forth all make that be true. So the difference between an equation and an inequality is an equation has one solution, inequalities can have multiple correct answers. And then we're going to show those answers by using either a solution set or on a number line. So please fill in those two words, solution set or solution and number line. So let's look at what we've got. The next two things on your paper are discrete and continuous. So discrete are data that can only be certain values. So please write that down. Data that can only take certain values. For example, the number of kids in your class, because you can't have half a kid. So since you would have, let's say, less than 8 students, well, less than 8 students would be 7 students or 6 students or 5 students. So because it could be a whole bunch of different answers, I'm going to put 7, 6, 5, and then those 3 dots, that's called an ellipsis afterwards, because that could be my solution set. And the way that I would write that inequality is I would write S, standing for the number of students, is less than 8. And so I've got my solution set of 7, 6, and 5. And then to show that, I'm going to graph it. I could graph it. And on my number line, I'd have the number 8 and the number 9 and the number 7. And it could be 7, it could be 6. So I just put little dots on my number line to graph those points. But the best answer for this is a solution set. So please write all of this down on your paper. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is continuous. So you could have your data that was continuous, and continuous data are data that can take any value within a range. For example, people's heights could be any value within a range of human heights. So it's not just certain fixed heights. So you remember when you were a little kid and you were getting ready to go to an amusement park and you faced the stick of doom. My kids always hated that. You had to be taller than 54 inches to ride a particular ride. If you were 54.1, right here, just this much taller, you could ride the ride. But contrarily, if you were over here, you could not. And then you spent the rest of the day pouting. All right, so anyway, to show this, you would draw a number line. And so on the number line, we would draw an open circle to say that it could not be the 54, but it could be anything beyond that, even this microscopic, you're standing on your tippy toes, you've put Kleenex in the bottom of your sneakers so that you could get to ride this ride. So that would be the way you would graph that. And because it's so many different choices, 54.1, 54.01, 54.0001, you're going to graph it on a number line. Now, could it be that you are 900 inches tall? No, that's what they mean within a range, that it's not going to be ridiculous. All right, so far we've talked about the difference between an equation and an inequality, and you've gotten that graphed. And so a solution set is where we've got our discrete situation, how tall someone is, how many cats we could have, how many buses we need. And on a number line is a continuous situation that just microscopic bit taller than that certain height. All right, so that's what you should have so far. And then you've got this chart. And so on the chart, it says less than 5 people. So less than 5 people, we've got, it could be 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. And so the way I write that is x is less than 5. And so the first thing I want you to determine is this going to be a discrete answer where it's only going to be 5, 4, 3, or 2, 4, 6, some exact number, or is it going to be continuous where it could be any fraction or decimal in between things? So that's the first thing I want you to do is I want you to determine if it's continuous or discrete. So, all right, so remember that continuous means that it could be any number of things in between, and discrete means it can only be one thing. So for example, for people, that's always going to be discrete. All right, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit. But this example here, pizza, that could be continuous because I could have 1.5 pizzas or, or not 8, it says 8, but 9.5 pizzas, 8 and 1/4 pizzas, and so forth. So that's continuous. So look through here and write either C or D for all of them, okay? And then pause and check and make sure you got them right. So let's see if you got these right. We have people, so it's discrete. And we have pizza, that's continuous. Dollars, pages, hours, degrees are all continuous. People and dogs are discrete. Dollars and degrees are continuous. And then people, once again, is discrete. So the next thing you're going to do is, same chart, you're going to write what it means. And you're going to use X as your variable. So you're going to say more than 8 people. So more than, so we're going to say X is greater than 8. We're going to always start with our X here, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then it says at most 4 people. So we've got X and we've got 4, but at most, so let's think about this. If your mother says you can have at most 4 people at your birthday party, that means you could have 4 people, but that is the most you could have. So it's going to be less than or equal to. So these are those words you did yesterday in your chart. So it might be helpful to have your chart with you. So at most is less than or equal to. So I think in this chart that some of these are like the backwards of what you might think they are, because maximum, you would think that would be more than, but because it has to be the maximum, it's going to be less than. At most is less than. Not more than is less than. Not greater than is less than or equal to. So those to me are a little bit counterintuitive as to what they would be. So you should probably have this chart out while you're working. All right, so go ahead and fill the rest of these in on this chart and write down what you've got. Pause the video and make sure you did what I did. All right, so check your work. Make sure you've got them right. And then the third thing you're going to do is you're going to draw your graph or write your solution set. So remember, if it is discrete, you're just going to write your solution set. If it's continuous, you're going to make a graph. All right, so let's talk a minute about graphs. All right, so at the bottom of the worksheet is what we're going to need for that last column. So it says continuous data is graphed on a number line. The number line only has to have 3 numbers on it. You need to write the answer under the middle mark, then put 1 number to the left and 1 to the right. So what that means is this. Let's say we had X is greater than 4. I'm going to draw my number line, and I call this a baby number line because I'm only putting 3 numbers on it. In the middle, I'm going to put my 4 because that's my answer. And then I'm going to put a number to the left of it, which is 3, and the number to the right of it, which is 5. And that's what that means. So you draw the number line, you take the middle number, which is your solution, you put it in the middle, and then you draw a number to the left and to the right. Now, I could have done it like that, or I could have made my number line like this. I could have had my 4 still in the center, but then I could have had 8 and 0. As long as the intervals between the number are the same, you can put whatever numbers you want on your number line. So let's say we still had that 4 in the middle. So there's my 4. I could have 4.5 and 3.5, and those are supposed to be evenly spaced. But you just need to take your middle solution, whatever your solution is, and then go down to the left and go up to the right, but you need to make sure the distance, the interval is the same. So that's a half, that's 4, that's 4, that's 1, that's 1. So that's what that meant. Let's go back to where we were. So when you're graphing, you are going to draw an when you're graphing less than or greater than, you're going to draw an open circle on your number line. above the middle number. When you look to the left, you write the number to the left above the variable. When you look to the right, you write the number to the right below the variable. Then you draw your number line based on which number to the left or right makes the inequality true. So let's look at what that looks like. So let's go back to our thing. And so we've got x is greater than 4. So I'm going to draw an open circle above the 4. Let me change color so you can see that. And then look to the left. So to the left of the 4 is a 3, so I write a 3 right there. And to the right of the 4 is a 5, so I write a 5 right there. And then I decide which of these numbers makes this true. 3 is greater than 4, or 5 is greater than 4. Since 5 is greater than 4 is true, that means all of my answers are going to be going this way, greater than 4. So 4.5, 4 3/4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. Okay? All right, let's go back to our notes. If you're graphing less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you're going to do the same process, but you are going to be using a closed circle on your number line. So since your circle requires a little bit more work, because your inequality symbol has an equal sign, which is also a little bit more work, but by drawing the open circle, you're saying that your answer could be the solution, as well as something smaller or larger depending on the symbol. So let's look at what that would look like. So let's say I have x is greater than or equal to 4. So starting off the same way, I draw my baby number line, put my 4 in the middle, put my 5 to the right, put my 3 to the left. And because I'm going to do a circle to show that it's 4, but because it's or equal to, I'm going to color that circle in, which means my answer could be 4. But the same process goes through, but I'm showing it could be 4. I look to the left, 3, look to the right, 5. Which one makes it true? 3 is greater than 4 or 5 is greater than 4? 5 is greater than 4, so I draw my arrow like this. But that means that my answer could be 4 or 4 1/4 or 4 1/2 or 4 3/8 and so forth, going on like that. So fill those in, please, and make sure you've drawn both of those examples. So let's go back to our table. So because this was discrete, I am going to write a solution set. Solution sets are made with braces. Remember, braces look like faces, so I draw my brace. And less than 5 people. So that means I could have 4 people or 3 people or 2 people. And then I go make my 3 dots and I close my solution set. All right, let's look at what a continuous one would look like. Let's go here with continuous. So I had x is greater than 8. So I draw my number line and I put 8 in the middle, put 9 and 7 to either side. It is greater than, so it gets an open circle. And I look to the left and look to the right and check to see which one makes it true. 7 is greater than 8 or 9 is greater than 8. So since 9 is greater than 8, my arrow goes like this. So my answer could be like 8 and 1 bite of a pizza or all the way going on out. All right, so fill all those in. When you're done, check to make sure you've done it correctly. All right, so check and make sure you've got what I've got. Looking especially at these graphs down here, they're kind of all over the place because it's hard to write on here. But anyway, I've got an open circle on the 8 pointing towards the 9, an open circle on the 5 pointing towards the 4, a closed circle because it could be 6 pages because it says at least, a closed circle on the 100 because it could be 100 where it says at most, and then an open circle on number 9, an open circle on 12, and an open circle on 13. Finally, notice I have some of these highlighted in yellow. They were the ones where it could be the number included, so you need to make sure you're including that. So thank you for your attention, and I hope you learned a lot.